Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the morning grind. It is good to see you. Welcome to the office. Lots of people here today. Good morning, James and Sable Phoenix. Yes, you know, the morning grind is the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse. The wind down is the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. We haven't done a wind down in a long time, though. The Zero the Blade says, good morning. Hey, Nathaniel and Stray and James. Good morning, Zero Theory. Lots and lots of people here. Yogg-Sothoth is a good one. All right. Let's see. What's going on this morning? Well, yesterday, I was trying to put the finishing touches on the Kickstarter page. I wanted to read it over one more time before I say, all right, that's it. That's ready to go. Then I tried to do some like a promotion, maybe on Instagram or something like that for it. And then just as I was done, and I was like, all right, so that's it. I guess we're going to go on to the next thing. I realized I had built the Kickstarter page in completely the wrong place. And now if you ask, how in the world can you do that? Well, it's one of the many complications there are on Kickstarter. I had actually built the whole thing in the wrong place, which means, but so I changed it over. So I had to go back and I basically rebuilt the stuff. Now, of course, I already had all the graphics done and the text and stuff like that. So, but I still had to go and move it over to a new project and load it all up, which means that the link that I had been given out was the wrong link. So I adjusted that in the Ravenkeep Discord, but this right here is the new Goodnight Sword Kickstarter link. That one, if you've been following, that one is the one that we need. So if you click that link, hit remind me. If you hit remind me on the other one, you're not going to receive a notification. So if you hit that link right there, and I also put this in the Ravenkeep Discord, that's the one that is correct now. So if you hit that link and hit remind me, that's it. And then what I'm going to do is put out today the preview link. I'm going to look over it one more time. We're having a little bit of a short morning grind here this morning because I do have to leave here in about a little bit under an hour because I'm got to go north in order to have lunch with some people. But well, what was I saying? Oh, but I will put out the link to the preview probably through Kickstarter and then also on Discord tonight or this afternoon after I get back from lunch. I'm going to go over that page one more time because I took all the time getting it right. All right, that looks like right, but I will let it cool one more time and put that out today. Look at it again today, then put that out. So the Ravenkeep Discord link is right here, and then we will start some advertising or promotion in general on Instagram, and then I'm looking forward to starting that on Tuesday. Sable Phoenix says, you're one of the most consistent streamers I know of in the board game Titterpig space. Having 2 a day would be a full-time job. Well, sometimes we do 2 a day. On Tuesdays, we do 2 days, and sometimes on Thursdays, and then on Fridays. And I used to do one on Sunday as well. I'd like to be able to get back to that, but I've got other things to do. It may be a full-time job, but it's not full-time income, right? So we would do, I liked it when I liked it when I was doing 1 in the morning and then trying to get stuff done and then 1 in the afternoon. But I need to know exactly what I've got to get done in the afternoon in order to get a lot of these projects off the ground. Brett Hamilton says, what will the cost of the book be? The physical book is going to be $25. And then you will pay shipping on the Kickstarter page. That is what the print-on-demand publisher charges to ship, because to ship right out to you, which is going to be about $6. So I will upload them, and then the print-on-demand office will print them, or printer will print them, and then send them right to you as well. Who illustrated the book? Adam Botsford. Adam M. Botsford illustrated the book. And he's great. He worked on a lot of the Rabavania and Theophany concept art. So, and he's an artist of all kinds, but he's done several children's books. And I really like what he did with this. Oh, and speaking of which, I just got a couple of others in. I ordered a few more reserve copies. And so I'm going to send this out to him. So illustrated by Adam M. Botsford right there on the front. And so I'm going to put these in the mail, because I've got an advanced copy for Brianna because she's the one who did all the layout. And then Adam did obviously all the art. So I ordered 2 more, and they just came in yesterday, which is like perfect timing. So I can send them advanced copies so that they can see it and then have the link so that if they know people who would like to have it, they can do that. And I also got copies to donate to libraries, which I may do today since I'm driving up that way for lunch. There was something else I was going to say. Something else that had come up. I have forgotten what it is, though. Oh, well. Today, I thought that, since it's kind of abbreviated anyway, I kind of wanted to brush over what to do with our insanely complicated GURPS. Our insanely complicated GURPS domains, which had a lot going for it when we were creating domains. But the wheel was actually the section of that book that described how you actually play. I've still been thinking a lot about some kind of domain level play, or how to do that online through asynchronous play or things like that. It got me also thinking about another game I just added, or should have added to this. I guess I haven't added yet to my list. I do want to take a look at Mighty Empires. Does anybody remember Mighty Empires from Games Workshop? That came out a while ago. Mighty Empires, which was their campaign level game. that was supposed to be able to integrate with individual battles with Warhammer Fantasy battles. So that's I'm also concerned when we're looking at this domain stuff, especially when we're thinking about GURPS and all the different things that it's taking into account. Now, of course, you could strip those things out. And I think perhaps stripping some of those things out would be good, but we're going to see how they integrate here with the wheel, which is how they actually play. Because I want to make sure that it's fun. You know, what is it that you're actually wanting to do away from the simulationist side and more toward the game side? Well, what's actually the fun part of running a realm, and what kind of decisions are you trying to make? And if it's not fun, well, maybe we skip over it. Let's see. There was something else that came up. I suppose we will remember. Hey, I didn't get my drink this morning, so I'm going to go in there and get a drink before I start here. But here, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. Right here. Let me grab a drink. Be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Yeti hug break. Calling for a Yeti hug break. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess it was. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's time for a Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break. Everybody go hug yo Yeti and show yo Yeti some love. What I realized that I should do is take the Yeti hug break and then like re-edit it so it's on the beginning of the loop that's a break. That way I can play that and have the Yeti hug break go and then go right into the loop that is the break. I might need to do that before dinner and a board game tomorrow. Oh yeah, dinner and a board game tomorrow. That wasn't it. But dinner and a board game, I did put up the link to dinner and a board game. So dinner and a board game quest 3 for the Frozen Horror will be tomorrow night. A little bit earlier because there will be no morning grind on Saturday, because unfortunately I have that funeral that I've got to get out for. So there'll be no morning grind on Saturday. I'm going to start a little bit earlier with the dinner and a board game. I'm going to start at 6 tomorrow, 6 Central. So last time the game went 4 hours. So I'm going to start at 6 Central tomorrow night. Maybe I'll wrap up. That way I can wrap up a little bit earlier. That way I can get to bed because then I've got to be up and I've got to be gone. So no morning grind on Saturday. Okay, so we built our realm here. And like I said, when I was thinking about this, because I think that some kind of domain level play would be better for asynchronous play. But in a certain sense, I'm thinking that with everything that's being tracked here when we were creating a realm, this is a lot like what's the most you can do? And we talk about what's the most you can do versus what's the least you can do. Like, what's the least you can do to run an effective realm? What are you actually supposed to be? It's not this, but like, what would I strip out of it? And I'm not exactly sure yet. I mean, there's a lot of things you think, gee, do I have to consider all of that? But until we get to the wheel and understand exactly what is it saying is going to be used here, or how is it going to be used? Because this is gameplay. Because this says that Chapter 1 explained how to create a realm and describe it in terms of ratings, levels, enhancements, limitations. This chapter shows you how to use all of that information. It simulates interaction both between realms and within them, tackling domestic projects, dealing with famines and epidemics, and so on. The wheel is a resolution system similar to the combat system, but less granular. Conceptually, it's akin to combat light, but for realms. Sample interactions include trade, soft power approaches for diplomatic missions, and sable rattling, threats of war, or police actions. Each turn of the wheel is equal to 1 month of time. However, the GM may change the scale to a season, 3 months, or even a year. Doing so effectively multiplies the number of actions a realm gets. Oh, hey, Tomocrat and J Street. Yeah, Sable Phoenix says if the third quest scales up higher than the second, you're going to have to get really lucky to get all the way through that. Yeah, I know. Hopefully, it's not any worse than the second one. Because, yeah, those hero quests, this has been brutal. I was wondering, and I'm going to bring this up when we actually are on dinner and a board game, if I should go on and play more of the Frozen Horror quests. Because the first 3 were the solo quests, and as big as I am in the feel of things, I was like, all right, I get to play the barbarian and kind of get into the role play of that barbarian. The rest of the missions require all 4 heroes, but I could still play them with the Zargon app. And I don't know if I would ever have a chance to play more of that Frozen Horror if I don't play it myself. So I'm considering going on to figure out the rest of that storyline, but I'd be playing all 4 heroes. I'm thinking about that. Okay, so during its turn, each realm selects a maneuver, which I guess is kind of like your action, and assigns a specific quantity of resources to resolve an issue. So we did go through lots of different kinds of resources that the realm had. These resources are kept secret to all but the game master and the realm's controller, if any. So it's kind of also assuming here, I guess, with that these resources are kept secret to all but the GM and the realm's controller, that other players might be controlling other realms. Once every realm has selected a maneuver, realms act in order from highest to lowest reaction time modifier. Highest to lowest. And we computed reaction time earlier, of course. Faster realms can opt to change their actions, though not their assigned RP in response to slower ones. For instance, an RTM +8, +6, and +4 realms would act in that order. The RTM realm could react to the actions of the RT8 +8 one, while the RT +4 realm could react to both of the others. Once all realms have finished, the results are tallied and take effect. For instance, a trade war between 3 realms might result in one realm getting richer, more resource points, one getting poorer, and the third barely breaking even. Briefly, a turn proceeds like this. All realms roll for disruptions and windfalls. Effects happen simultaneously for all realms. Resolve maneuvers in order to the order determined by RTM. Spend points as needed. So what can the realm do? I don't know. I was wondering why this is called the wheel. Burning wheel is out there. What I thought about, though, was breaking the wheel, like what Daenerys was saying. So I wonder, I'm not sure why it's called the wheel. I thought maybe it was a reference to Game of Thrones. Now, see, you could just do a war campaign, and I'm wondering, is that the fun part? Right? If you only get so much time and you're going to be playing for so long, what's the fun part? Well, it might be moving armies around and conquering things. But here we've got the different maneuvers that do allow you to do other things than that. Allocate resources, bluff, demolish, do nothing, gather, extract, improve, maneuver, marshal manpower, negotiate, plan, reconnoiter, sabotage, threaten, trade, or wait. So it would be interesting to know if they can integrate the things that are not war and combat into the game in a fun way. Because I suppose that would be ideal. But on the other hand, from the gamer's perspective, just what's the fun part? And let's get to that. Realms and Western Marches. Western March is a nice pairing for a bigger picture for the players. Realms, and I don't know that. Oh, hex crawling. I see. Hex crawling west marches in the realms. Okay. I'll leave that up so I can take a look at that after this. Okay, so each realm's choice of maneuver determines what it can do on its turn. Each maneuver comes with a required skill roll and a resource cost. Resources are typically one of the 4 types of resource points defined in Chapter 1. Agriculture, luxury precious good points, natural resource points, or workforce points. But the GM may assign additional costs where applicable. For example, if 2 realms are negotiating with one another and want to trade resources, and one wishes to sweeten the pot in the form of a lump sum of cash, this would come directly out of the realm's revenue and might require additional rolls to raise more funds. So realms can communicate with one another to issue ultimatums, offer trade deals, etc. as a free action at any time during a turn within the limits of tech level. I guess that's just talking about if you're trying to communicate by messengers. Well, I mean, that would be a difficult thing to track. The Western Marches campaign that Bacon called utter madness. You have one persistent world where time progresses equal to real time and players appear on their scheduled permits, telling the GM when. Nah, I'd like use the wheel for a West March style game. It would be a lot of fun to be in a game that was doing all of that. Stargate Mind says, I did the math in gold in D&D. 3,000 gold equals a 7-foot 2x4 that weighs 27.5 pounds. Haul that out of a dungeon, folks. There's a section of GURPS that goes into a deep dive about the weight of gold and how much you can carry out, because gold is so common in fantasy worlds. Like how much would that really be? But also alternative ways to make gold more common. I have never looked at the burning wheel. 7 inch. Yeah. A 7-inch 2x4. Okay. 3,000 gold pieces is a 7-inch 2x4 that weighs 27.5 pounds. God. Okay, so internal maneuvers, because like we thought about doing things like that, tracking messengers, like then their distance. Like you got to write out. So if you want to send somebody, write out the message, and then we got to track how long it takes the messenger to get out there. And of course, things could happen to the messenger. Internal maneuvers, many maneuvers like improve and manufacture, are obviously useful internally, but the GM may allow any maneuver to work this way. Bluff for propaganda directed at the realm's own people, or threaten to cow them. In such cases, there would normally be an opposing roll. Ignore this and simply roll against skill unless noted otherwise. The GM may assign bonuses or penalties depending on the circumstances. Resource points are still allocated and used normally. Multiple maneuvers. A realm can take multiple maneuvers in a turn. This requires either spending 2 workforce points per maneuver, minimum of 4. Spending 2 workforce points per maneuver, minimum of 4, or suffering -6 to all actions for this turn. What does that mean? This requires either spending 2 workforce points per maneuver, that you got to spend at least 2 per turn. No, at least 4 per turn, or suffering -6 to all rolls for actions that turn. If the realm has Facile 23, this becomes a mere 1 workforce point per maneuver, or -3 to all rolls. So it's nice that the larger you are, the more workforce points you've got. I do like this. That if your realm has more people and more workforce, then you're going to be able to do more things in a single turn, because you're trying to expend your workforce points. I do like that, rather than saying everybody just gets 1. Well, it's depending on the number of workforce points you've got. So if you are a giant realm, so it's not trying to, I guess, be balanced in that way. If you're controlling a much larger realm, you're going to be able to do more in a turn. Allocate resources. Resource costs 1 workforce point. None is a prelude to any other maneuver, plus any extra cost required to counter a disruption, maintain a windfall, or similar. Required skill roll: administration, management skill, or appropriate skill for the situation. Expert skill, epidemiology, to figure out how to treat a disease, for example. The general purpose maneuver covers everything from coping with an epidemic to managing day-to-day bureaucratic machinery. Realms most often choose it when dealing with internal politics. Allocate resources can also be a prelude to marshaling forces or gearing up for war. In such cases, the next marshal manpower or plan maneuver costs 1 fewer resource points. Allocate resources can be taken up to 3 times for this purpose, reducing the cost of later maneuvers by up to 3 resource points. Used like this, allocate resources don't cost any workforce points, only time. Okay, so here are our different maneuvers we can take. So bluff costs 1 workforce point. Required skill rolls fast talk, management skill, propaganda, or psychology. This maneuver can represent subtle threats. For outright threats, use threaten. Obfuscate the truth of an event, action, or deal, lying or otherwise being deceptive with another realm or your own people. Thus, it's risky, and rolls for it are always at -4. Success at bluff works exactly like successful rolls for negotiate, for diplomacy, or threaten for intimidation. Bluff can also give +4 to rolls to threaten if performed specifically for this purpose immediately before a threaten maneuver. But failure means the threaten maneuver is at -4 instead. When bluff is used against a realm's own populace, whether as a concealed threats or as propaganda, a successful roll increases the society's conformity rating by 1 for the next 3 months. Failure reduces conformity by 1 instead. Critical failure reduces it by 2. If this drops to the conformity to 1 or less, check for revolution. Nathaniel says it's saying a minimum of 4 because the objective is to take more than 1 maneuver. Okay, so this requires either spending 2 workforce points per maneuver for a minimum of 4, or suffering -6 to all actions for that turn. So if you're not doing enough, I think that's it. Demolish 1 workforce point plus money. Required skill rolls none. Now, see, we've got all these resource points, but then we also have general revenue. And I don't really understand how they interact. It talked about something about money going away at some point. It's used to sweeten the pot. So here we've got workforce point plus money, because you do have like a monthly revenue or something. This maneuver is used to shed the realm of enhancements or add a new realm limitations. It's normally done only to a conquered territory that you don't wish to add to your own realm, but undead or profoundly evil rulers might want to change a newly conquered realm. It costs money equal to 1/5 of the change in the realm value of the realm being damaged. Resource points can be destroyed if the GM agrees they're accessible. Okay, do nothing. Okay. Gather, extract. 1 resource point. Required skill rolls, administration, management skill, or skill appropriate to the resource being gathered. A realm may opt to spend its turn earning more resource points, or any other kind of workforce points, or any kind other than workforce points. Use martial manpower for that instead. This takes an entire turn. The resource type must be specified at the beginning of the sequence. The realm may seek multiple types of resource points. This is like Settlers of Catan in a much more detailed way. This realm may seek multiple types of resource points. This inflicts -2 on the roll per different type of resource and uses the lowest of administration, management skill, or appropriate skill for gathering the resource. If management skill is the only applicable skill available, roll at -4 per different type of resource. Success generates RP equal to half the margin of success, minimum of management skill divided by 4, dropping fractions. So success generates those resource points equal to half the margin of success. If multiple types were sought, then distributed those as desired by whoever rolled. Critical success generates that and 1D, which is 1D6, extra of resource points. That's probably going to be a really important one, because it said that your resource points don't refresh. You just have a starting number. You have some kind of starting number of resource points for your first turn. But then after that, you're going to have to gather and extract more resources. Does it talk about storing them? So far, it hasn't talked about storing them. Improve. 1 workforce point plus money. This maneuver is used to acquire new realm enhancements or shed realm limitations. It costs money equivalent to the change in realm value these modifications entail. If the roll fails, half the cash cost can be saved, but on a critical failure, the whole amount is lost. Some enhancements are straightforward to add. For example, advanced infrastructure adds via a building program, or maneuver mastery via a reorganized civil service. Others depend on the characteristics of land and climate and thus cannot normally be added. Ideal climate, for example. Thus, this maneuver always requires GM approval and is heavily setting dependent. A tech level 12 super science society could rebuild a planet with nanotechnology, while some fantasy settings have real gods who could add ideal climate with the wave of a hand. Improve cannot be used to acquire more starting resource points after the realm has been founded. Buying resource points for cash is cheaper anyway. See buying or selling resource points in play, page 37. So I think this has to do with the players getting involved. Many maneuvers assume the PCs are either in charge of the realm or able to assist it with skill rolls. Often, only one player character is rolling, the leader or someone else who's important under the circumstances. A diplomat, a head of the Center for Disease Control, a military general, etc. But what about the other players? They could be rolling, take turns rolling, or create characters with skill pertinent to running the realm. I thought this was going to be like if the players go and try to take some kind of dramatic action. I see. Manufacture. 1 resource point. Any crafting or engineering skill. This maneuver converts natural resource points to 1.5 times as many luxury or precious good points rounded up. Manufacturing at a lower or higher tech level than that of the realm multiplies this ratio of starting wealth between the tech levels. So manufacture, it converts natural resource points to luxury and precious good points. Okay. Martial manpower. That might be interesting. Use another existing board game to simulate the realm management. Might be simpler than this. I've got a game like that. I've thought about that too. That like, well, I mean, that it was kind of what we were doing with War of Kings. I mean, War of Kings, we were trying to do realm management. I mean, we have the different natural resources. We also have money through gold. I was thinking about that in terms of, well, what's actually fun? Because I hadn't gone back to think about trying to revise War of Kings. But I would think about, it might be interesting to think about in terms of all of these things here. Because that's what War of Kings was. War of Kings was a realm management board game. I want to look at Mighty Empires. It really didn't get into campaigns. It was more the strategy level. Because when you moved an army into a new territory, okay, you would fight with one another, but that could represent multiple battles, skirmishes. That could represent a whole bunch of things that took out these armies or whatever actually happened. So you never actually got down into the campaign or especially the battle level. Zero Theory says, I played Kingdom Death Monster board game last night and has a settlement phase that loosely reminds me of this, but these settlements are like 15 folks. I'm really looking forward to playing Kingdom Death Monster. That's why I'm looking forward to keeping Dinner and a Board Game going, because I've got Kingdom Death sitting right over here. And I think it's got a solo play. I've got it sitting over here, but I've never gotten to play it. Sable Phoenix, does War of Kings have natural disasters, political instability, etc.? It had rolling for events when you explored things. So there were things that could happen to you when you went to explore things. You could get diseases or plagues or things like that. And then you also had, you had event cards. So the event card that you would draw, or in the original way the game was, and the actual rules as written of the game was, you would roll, and if you got certain dice rolls, you would draw an event card, and the event card was generally something good for you, but represented some type of something that was happening within your kingdom. Later, I changed that up when we were playing for Dinner and a Board Game, where every time it comes around, you draw an event card. And I think I would adjust that. So it's possible that you could adjust that even further to deal with, natural disasters or something like that. But it was generally something good. There was actually a lot of bad things that could happen to you when you were going out exploring. So basically that's it. Now, we did have political instability in the form of revolution, because if you were conquering another territory and it was not of your culture, they could rebel. And actually, I think that would be something that I would want to add even more rules to in the future, because that could happen in the game, but it wasn't something that would happen a lot. And I think it's something that I'd want you to think about a bit more if you are trying to create your empire out of the pieces of other people's kingdoms, which needs to happen more, because rather than expanding and building, which can happen, but a lot of the times if you want to expand, I think I would make it that you're going to have to take things from somebody else. Sable Phoenix says, Kingdom Death has a really interesting monster AI system. I think it's totally soloable. It's just that you'd be playing as every human on the board. I'd love a copy, but it's freaking expensive. It is freaking expensive. It's also very heavy on the anime waifu type art from what I've seen, and not a fan of anime generally. Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I'm not sure how much art you're looking at. The characters don't strike me that way. There's a lot of other things to work on before that. I did say that if I were to do a War of Kings 2nd edition, I would retheme it to make it one of the worlds I was working on. So it'd be like Theophany or Rabivania War of Kings. Probably Theophany. So martial manpower, military resources, or luxury precious good points. Administration, leadership, management, or propaganda. This maneuver is used to marshal or recruit GURPS mass combat forces, including logistics forces, recruit labor to generate more workforce points, or do anything else that gathers multiple realm inhabitants in one place for a particular reason. For example, it could be used to found a new town or colony within the realm's holdings, build grand structures like pyramids, or assemble citizens in a specific city to prepare for a siege. When marshaling existing military forces for mass combat, a successful roll allows the maneuver of any number of elements. This can be used, for instance, to deploy forces to resist an invasion by a neighbor or to send forces to invade. When recruiting new forces, a successful roll lets the realm raise elements that cost up to its current military resources. The cost to raise mass combat for this purpose. So when creating new military resources, a successful roll lets the realm raise elements that cost up to its military resources. On page 30. Use cost to raise on page 8 of mass combat for this purpose. Recruits are usually ready by the next turn, but optionally the GM may have the time required for inferior troops, double it for good troops, or triple it for elite troops. Mass combat has more information on troop quality. When recruiting labor, roll against the better of administration or management skill. If using splitting workforce points, specify the type before rolling. Multiple types may be sought, but this uses the lower of administration and management skill per -2 per difference type. Optionally, realms may spend luxury precious good points when recruiting labor force to attract migrant workers with indulgences and bonuses. It may spend a number of points to its openness rating to gain an identical bonus to the maneuver. Negotiation. Realms can negotiate with each other or with their own people. Negotiation with the realm is most often done prior to trade deals, but negotiate works under any circumstance where the realm engages in diplomacy. Unlike bluff, it's truthful, though it may be hard for another realm to tell the difference between bluff propaganda and negotiate propaganda. Negotiate is effectively an influence roll, basic page 359, to improve how one realm views another or how the realm's own citizens see its rulers. Roll a quick contest against the conformity rating plus numerical citizen loyalty of the realm being influenced. On the realm's own citizenry, use its own conformance rating plus loyalty. Interpret the outcome using the negative outcome table below. Negotiate outcome table below. When used on another realm, negotiate may target its leadership or its citizens. It can target both, but in that case, roll separately for each group, -2 for both rolls. A positive and negative result can mean division between the government and its people, giving up to -4 to the realm's rolls to influence its populace. Although the GM can rule that this reaction is the average of the two, see starting reaction rolls instead. So what, like negotiation outcome? We're changing citizen loyalty. Lost by 8+, disaster, rebellion. Or at the GM's option, the influencer rolls a critical failure and the subject does not. See, GURPS, boardroom, and curia. We talked about that too. The wheel can be used when organizations battle one another as well as when realms duke it out. This is intentional. Boardroom and curia was a major inspiration for realm management. Using the same rules, make modifications and altering it justifications where necessary. For example, an organization might allocate resources for a project or use bluff when negotiating with another organization. The disruptions table and windfalls table can be repurposed too. For instance, if blackmail acquired arises in the context of corporations, the GM might rule the CEO is compromised by someone with the goods on him. Planning allows the realm to study a situation, evaluate its goal, and map out its future actions. It gives +2 on rolls for one particular maneuver against a specific realm or for a specific purpose. Reconnoiter, similar to plan above, but instead of granting a skill bonus, a successful reconnoiter maneuver reduces the next maneuver's required workforce points by 1 per 4 points of margin of success, minimum of 1 fewer workforce points. Reconnoiter can also be used for reconnaissance of the enemy's forces during battle. Success gives the basic information in initial intelligence, see GURPS Mass Combat, without the opposing side getting the same information. You can learn of their general number without revealing yours. And if the other side didn't succeed at a reconnoiter as well, the commander has -1 for their first strategy roll in the ensuing conflict. Reconnoiter can also be used to discover what resources the rival realm has. This requires winning a quick contest with each realm using the best relevant skill. Division between a government and its people. Well, that's not very realistic. Sabotage, 2 workforce points. This maneuver has a wide range of manifestations, from physical sabotage of another realm's infrastructure or military vehicles to political and cultural attacks that disrupt their society, such as sabotaging their election system or financial records. Like who has or has not paid their taxes this year. Purely social sabotage is usually better represented by bluff or threaten, but the GM could require sabotage for something esoteric like attacking a realm's religious institutions, inserting misinformation into their educational materials. The 7th Fleet was a valued ally of the Ring colony until the colony's second mayor betrayed them, or arranging falsified studies. In low doses, lead is a healthy dietary supplement. Whoa, misinformation. Sounds familiar. Threaten. This maneuver represents sable rattling by one realm against the other. One workforce point. Roll a quick contest threatening the realm skill versus the other realms. If the threatening realm wins, the opposing realm must perform a do nothing or wait maneuver next turn. Victory with critical success means the target realm is stunned and must take a do nothing for 1d4 turns. Whoa, that's big. If the threatening realm wins, the opposing realm must perform a do nothing or wait maneuver next turn. Oh, victory with next turn. Critical success, they are stunned and take nothing for d6 turns. Whoa. Continuous use of threaten can erode reactions enough to result in war. So if the threatening realm loses, re-roll the target realm's reaction to it, with the best possible result being the current reaction. The target regards the attempt as too inept to be troubling. Loss with a critical failure means the threatening realm must take a do nothing or wait maneuver. Buying or selling resource points. Trade. Realms may trade with one another, exchanging money, resource, goods, services, and/or goods. This is a simple exchange, with each realm bartering for assets. The GM requires a skill roll or a quick contest of skill. The winner gets the bonus assets equal to their margin of victory. 2 realms can also enter into a continuing trade deal, whereas the exchange is repeated every turn thereafter. I don't have enough understanding of what you're generating every turn. We had generate resources, but it seems like you'd want to know, like in these long-standing trade deals, what it is you're going to be able to generate every turn. But I guess expending your manpower to do that, to generate those resources, is important. If you're in some kind of trade deal where you've got to have a certain number of agriculture points or something like that, you've got to allocate enough manpower to do that. Let me just go down here and check. Like, so how many manpower points are we dealing with every turn? The entire kingdom of Zaristria, or whatever it was, Zarthus. Okay, so this is the necromantic kingdom of Zarthus. This is everything that we built. So what are we told here? Like, how many resources points has it got? So it's got cultural trade. We're up here, resource points. So for instance, this necromantic kingdom has 25 resource points. Oh, I think this is what it starts out with. 9 agricultural points, 3 luxury precious good points, 3 natural resource points, 10 plus 1d workforce points. Traditional economy gives 1d4 starting workforce points, but 50% of listed revenue must be converted into luxury precious good points. Oh, we talked about that. I remember. So that's starting. That's starting, but but how many manpower resource points am I getting every round? Loyalty, infrastructure rating, control rating, conformity rating, government type, economic type, bonus and terrain, education rating, habitability, realm enhancements, realm limitations, realm value. I don't know. I must have missed something. Sable rattling. So yeah, I've missed something here in my understanding here. Realms of the same size value trade resource points on a one-to-one basis. For realms of different sizes, when the larger nation trades RP to the smaller, multiply those RP by 2 if the difference in realm sizes is +1, by 5 if +2, by 10 if +3, or by 20 if +4, and so on. Divide when trading in the opposite direction. For instance, realms of size values +9 and +3 differ by 6, so it takes 100 of the realms of the smaller realms RP to equal 1 of the larger realms. That also seems complicated. So why are they doing that? I noticed that because they were saying that your resource points, your starting resource points, can be bought as a fraction of your realm's total cost in the beginning. So that does make, the resource points. A resource point is not just a resource point. A resource point scales to the level of your kingdom or your realm. Why are they doing that? Instead of just giving the higher ones a lot more resource points. Why did they do it that way? One workforce point, like trading requires 1 workforce point. So that does mean that workforce points, that's going to scale with the size of your kingdom. Maybe they were trying to keep larger realms from completely overrunning smaller realms. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. Because it does seem like it would be easier if a resource point were just some standard unit of some resource amount. But there must have been some reason why that's not true. Your resource points scale according to you. So they're only usable really within your own realm. And if you're trading with a realm of the same size, otherwise you got to make adjustments for how much is going back and forth. Is there some that seems inelegant in certain ways, but I've never seen it in play. Okay, wait maneuver allows you to delay reaction to other realms. So, okay, so that was all of our maneuvers. Excuse me. Managing a realm. The realm lets you interact not only with other realms, but also with themselves. Most of the time, they'll be taking... The wheel lets realms interact not only with other realms, but also with themselves. Most of the time, they'll be taking either allocate resources or do nothing maneuvers. The simplicity is intentional. Most players and GMs don't. The simplicity is intentional here. Most players and GMs don't want to spend an entire game session deciding what sort of cattle their burgeoning hamlet will take to the big city's market, or what their interstellar empire will do about the gigantic tick infestation on Ceti Prime. So these rules attempt to boil down day-to-day realm management to a few roles. Nathaniel says, I believe the base value being manipulated is in regards to the amount of leverage the realm would have in trade based on when the trade is initiated. I believe the base value being manipulated is in regards to the amount of leverage the realm would have in trade based on when the trade is initiated. It could be. It could be. So we've got realms aren't meant to be static. At the start of each turn, the GM rolls 3D for each realm to see whether something happens that has the potential to affect the turn. On a 5 or less, roll on the windfalls table. On a 16 or more, roll on the disruptions table. The GM may want the possibility of multiple events. If so, a second event occurs on 4 or 17, a third one on 3 or 18. To have the possibility of multiple both windfalls and disruptions, flip a coin for the second and third events. Or roll 3d6 more than once per turn. So disruptions table, when a disruption is called for, roll 1d. 1d on this table, reading the first die on the first number in parentheses and the second die as the second. So when a disruption roll is called, roll 1d. 1d on this table, reading the first die roll as the first number in parentheses and the second die roll as the second. Huh? Okay. The listed effects are guidelines. So like we've got plague here. Plague, inclement weather, sabotage, trade embargo or sanction, invasion, says the realm's borders have been violated by an invading realm. This can be dealt with by sending in military forces resolved to using mass combat or through some sort of parley and concession. Flood, drought or famine, corruption. What do adventurers do when not running a realm? Realm management assumes the PCs will be involved in running realms. For instance, one character might have an appropriate trait, rank, or status, or perhaps every player gets a vote. However it's done, realms that could be under a player control should be. When the goal is to make the players actually care about a domain, player agency works better than the GM rolling a bunch of dice and reporting the results. Alternatively, or as well, players could have their characters perform actions on the realm's behalf each turn. For example, when marshaling military forces, a PC might be the officer in charge giving the orders, while the player rolling against strategy and tactics. While the PC tends to be capable experts, this can lead to the use of skills at a lower level than the realm's management skill. This is realistic. Management skill reflects the combined efforts of all parties involved in the administration working together toward a common goal. So what do the adventurers do when not running a realm? Have adventures, of course, but whether they're ridding the realm of monsters, spiders, or patrolling the borders along the Neo-Texas asteroid ring, the GM should think about how the hero's actions affect the setting's realms. A successful adventurer can give a further +1 to +5 on any roll for maneuver, improving the odds of the realm succeeding too. In a campaign focused on realm-level events, it's part of the GM's job to ensure the fates of characters and realms are intertwined. Political schism, potential flora or troublesome flora or fauna, fire, religious uprising, pollution. The four horsemen writ large. One realm can intentionally inflict a disruption upon another realm as an attack. The GM decides what effects are within reach. Setting a fire is one thing, arranging a hurricane is another. To use a disruption as an attack, take its countering maneuver and spend resource points equal to the maneuvers. To use a disruption as an attack, take a countering maneuver and spend resource points equal to the resource cost or half of the disruption's immediate effect, whichever is less. As well, adventurers can inflict calamities on other realms or even their own. This might be intentional or accidental. See, pollution, shortages, infrastructure breakdown, civil unrest. Demagogue. The realm is in the grips of a powerful speaker or speakers who preaches something different from the government line. The message doesn't necessarily have to be bad. A speaker urging tolerance or kindness in a dark empire is much a demagogue as the teacher of hate and anger. Alternatively, windfall. In the case of windfalls, instead of countering long-term effects, realms would benefit from making them permanent. New trade connection, blackmail acquired, third-party charity, reform, enhanced currency, military training, technological breakthrough. The realm is the first or one of the first to develop a new type of technology. Decide what this is. Details depend heavily on the realm's current TL. Planting crops might be a technological breakthrough for a tech level 0 society, while developing faster than light travel would be a technological breakthrough at any tech level. Good morning, Neutromancer. No, there are birds outside my window. There used to be some birds that had gotten up into the attic, like right up there, and you could hear them. But actually, I think they got into the house, strangely enough. I came in here like a couple of weeks ago, and there was a bird here in the office. So yes, there are lots of birds. Sable Phoenix says, Neo Texas asteroid ring. Just watch out for the space chiggers. Everything is bigger in Neo Texas. Investor or patron. Resource discovery. The realm has discovered new source of minerals, a virgin forest, fertile fields, or similar. The exact nature of the resource will depend heavily on the campaign's tech level and genre. For example, a space opera realm could find a new source of unobtainium on a distant planet, while a low tech level fantasy realm might discover an area suffused with magical energies. Bumper crop, you experienced an exceptionally good harvest. Mild weather. Loyalty boost, social resonance increase. Where the black swan flies. All of the disruptions and windfalls are mostly possible in the real world, but the realistic edges have been sanded off in favor of cinematic smoothness. This is intentional. Like everything else in realm management, these events are a game aid for abstract realm emulation, a way to give PCs a way to interact with some of the biggest NPCs in the game's realms. What about the weird stuff? Certainly, the Mesoamericans of the 16th century never saw the conquistadors coming. It was an out-of-context problem. The GM can include such events in their campaign, but shouldn't do so at random, therefore adventurers, not coincidences. Black swan events like alien invasions can make or break the game. The GM must treat them as campaign changers and assure that they're consistent with the game's expected tone, or the players are okay with changing the tone. Pilgrimage, immigration, education reform, crime reduction, combined defense, expansion and growth, revolution and dissolution. And then, well, so that's basically it. We have examples here. So this is our completely written up example kingdom of Zarthus. My mind still isn't completely wrapped around about what we're doing here, especially with regard to the resources. You know, like how many workforce points? Seems like, so if you're supposed to be gathering resources, but how many you do that with workforce points? The workforce points seem to be very important. So the new Venetian Republic is also an example here. And that's it. I think I did like mass combat better. I liked the GURPS mass combat better. Hey, those guys have read the culture novels, or at least Accession. The outside context problem is usually called a black swan event in the U.S. All right. Well, all right. I said we were going to wrap up a little bit early today because I have got to get out of here. I have a lunch meeting that I've got to drive up to the city for. So I am about to get out of here. I'm headed up to have lunch. I will talk to everybody later. There is a slight possibility. In fact, hang on. Let me just check something really quick. because there's a slight possibility we could have a table talk tonight. But let me check this person who was getting back to me. I saw that I had a message. Let me just see. Oh, this person's asking me if I ever stream on Wednesday evening or afternoon. Well, we could. Okay, so obviously not tonight then. Okay, so I'll get back to that person. So we may end up with an out of context table talk on a Wednesday afternoon. So all right, so looks like no table talk tonight. We will have morning grind tomorrow morning. We will have dinner and a board game tomorrow night. So 2 streams tomorrow, and then Saturday no stream because I'll be out of town for a funeral. So all right, everybody, have a great day. Have a productive day. Have a creative day, and grind on.